middle of a news story, and he finds himself once again in the middle of a national news story. Good morning, Ed Martin.
Good morning, McGraw. Good to talk to you.
You got it. You've been working for the Eagle Forum now for a year or so, I guess, and recently you've been sort of dubbed as the heir apparent. Is that accurate?
Well, listen, actually, I've been working for Phyllis Schlafly for over 3 years. That's part of the problem is people are sort of out there saying lots of things. Phyllis hired me 3 years ago, and I spent almost 2 years with her, about half of my paid time working on special projects and getting to know her and her organization. And about a year and a few months ago, she named me her successor. I'd say one of the greatest things I've ever had happen to me. And she runs actually 3 organizations, McGraw. People don't maybe understand that. She runs a great education institute that does most of her writing and work. She does writing and work out of that. A policy advocacy unit called Eagle Forum, the C4, and then a PAC. And I became president of both the education fund and the other C4, and both boards voted on it. We've had great successes. I think this is really a political fight, and I'm sorry to say a family fight right now on one board. And unfortunately, surprisingly to us, the people that are upset, filed a lawsuit in Illinois, and Phyllis Schlafly and I spent 3.5 hours in a hearing yesterday in Illinois. And what's even more cynical is the people who are protesting, who want to take over one of the organizations, didn't even show up. They just sent high-powered lawyers, and so there's Phyllis Schlafly at 91 sitting there taking questions from the judge, and going. We had power go out, elevator service went out. We all walked down the stairs after. I mean, it was quite a thing. But more importantly, as I said afterwards, we work in 50 states with people, volunteers mostly, advocating for good policies. We got to do that work. We got to stop fighting about things like this, and Phyllis has done that for all her career. So it's messy, but it's part of life, I guess.
All right, Ed. So the argument is that her daughters and family members are suing her for the control of this one company. And is it true what they're reporting, that it's really a proxy fight between Phyllis, who wants Donald Trump, and the others who want Ted Cruz?
Well, listen, I'll say, be clear. To be clear, again, it's so hard, the record. Phyllis has 6 children who she loves dearly. 5 of the 6 support Phyllis and me and what we're doing. One of the 6 has not, spoken about what her concerns are for months and months and months. I guess she's now recently called a few people, but we don't know. But look, well, you're right. All 6 of the people are Cruz supporters that are trying to do this takeover. We have had documents leaked from our organization, private emails of Phyllis's. One of the 6 admitted they gave it to the Cruz campaign. The Cruz campaign called me and was upset, Jeff Rowe, actually. So we also had an Eagle Forum list that was improperly used by one of the 6, given to the Cruz campaign. Cruz campaign used it. I mean, the bad actors in this are among the 6, and they appear to be aligned around Ted Cruz, which, I endorse Donald Trump, personally, not of the organization. So did Phyllis. And I will say, Ted Cruz, Jeff Rowe, they've shown themselves willing to do dirty tricks. They're willing to play politics at a level that I'm surprised they would do, especially to Phyllis Schlafly. So, again, you end up in court. It's very sad and very messy. But again, we have Phyllis Schlafly has more intellectual firepower and a record that we have to use and utilize to make things better for our country and our families and ourselves. So that's what we're trying to do.
Ed Martin, she's 91 years old. Is she still in full control of the Eagle Forum?
Yeah, I mean, look, I joke with her. I'm like, everybody thinks I'm in charge of everything, and I joke with her and say, I wish I was. I mean, when I took over as her successor, she told me, you report to me and don't start bossing everybody around. I mean, most of our people are volunteers. So, look, Phyllis is 91. She's a little slower, that's fair to say, but it's her organization. They're going after $4 million. The first thing they did, this group, was try to take over the bank accounts and remove Phyllis from being able to sign checks. Now, the $4 million in the bank is money that people gave to Phyllis's organization, not to these others. Now, there's lots of volunteers. We don't want to overstate the value, but yeah, Phyllis was. Look, I laughed yesterday. She was making notes on her pad of paper to tell her lawyer, some points of fact and law. She was graduating the top of her class at WashU Law School in the 70s in the midst of the ERA fight. So she's in her little finger, she's got more smarts than you and me, McGraw. So we just I kind of tell people to. It's a little bit of ageism, I mean, just because someone's older and slower physically, it's tough to see. I'm actually driving to see her now. We've got a book that's coming out. She wrote another book about the pro-life Republican Party that's coming out in the next few weeks. And again, that's about 28 books, 2 in the last 3 years. I don't know. I wish you and I'd be so good at 61 as she is at 91,
All right. So it's a private organization. It's a private, as you mentioned, 3 different companies, but it's a private political organization, a lobbying effort, if you will, not necessarily in those exact definitions, but generally speaking. So what's the lawsuit over? What do these Gang of Six, as you call them, what do they want to happen, and what can the court rule on?
Well, this is the hard part. To them banded together and they called a meeting. Now, we've never had a meeting over the phone. All in 45 plus years, they've never had meetings except in person. Part of that is, as Phyllis said, we've always done it relationally. You get in the room and you talk about it. Part of it is just habit. But they called this meeting and they rammed through all sorts of resolutions. And Phyllis and her lawyers and everybody said they're not valid. They weren't done appropriately. The meeting was invalid, and therefore just carry on. And we have been. I'm working every day on issues we have, not always on the C4 side. So their lawsuit is basically, we want our resolutions honored, Judge. We think we did it right. And, again, it's hard when it's a daughter. The daughter's in there saying, this is what I want. The judge is looking at it for the first time saying, he certainly knew who Phyllis was, but he's saying, this looks like a messy situation. But messy situations shouldn't end up in court, and especially when it's people that care about each other or say they do, and family. These people, the Six, have been going on the TV and radio saying they love Phyllis, that's why they're doing it. And Phyllis just sort of chuckles. She just says, this is loving somebody, I'm not sure. So that's the part that's terrible, is to go into Madison County, Illinois court, drag everybody in. And again, so cynical. There's Phyllis Schlafly, me, John Schlafly, all sitting at the table for 3.5 hours, and the people that have to have control don't even show up. I mean, it's just kind of it says something about what's going on, but the world is upside down right now, and I think we just got to keep going forward.
All right, so Ed Martin, are you still the heir apparent to the Eagle Forum?
Well, look, I take great comfort in this. Phyllis asked me to be her successor. I told her, McGraw, my history. Once I worked for a governor, and I walked into the governor's office, and I said, I'm happy to resign because you're the only one who can't resign. And he said, okay, I'll take it. And I did. And I work for Phyllis. I work for her and her vision. I'm president of both organizations today, just like I was yesterday, and we're going to keep working. And we've got events coming up on June 7th, 8th, and 9th in D.C. for our collegians. It's the 23rd annual event. We've got events planned at the convention in Cleveland. We've got another book deal that Phyllis just signed with Regnery that would come out around the convention or a little after. And then we've got our big summit in September. We have more work to do than I can imagine, and we're going to keep doing it. And none of what's happening in this one organization affects the rest of what we're doing. It just makes everything really messy, and it's very unpleasant. We just got to keep going forward.
Ed Martin, I'm out of time, but hopefully you're being paid more than Phyllis Schlafly is.
That's a little bit more. That's one of the problems. Phyllis never took a salary, and she doesn't understand sometimes why everybody is so worried about their family, income. But that's okay. That's part of her charm.
Right.
What she's done is so important.
Ed Martin, you're always welcome here. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks, McGraw. I'll talk to you.
You got it. 8:26.